Right.
Yeah. Yeah, they would. Yeah.
Wow.
All it would be seen as their tail end.
Yeah.
Pinelli Jones, old Merc.
Get competitive.
I bet that thing
We
sounds
lightened it up. We
amazing.
put different seats in it and stuff, but I don't even think it would be competitive. We had it in the 7s.
Right.
Yeah, Bob Patterson drove that one for us.
It's crazy the stuff y'all have.
Yeah, he's got a variety.
Whoop.
He's a Ford man, but he's got
Wow.
everything.
Restored Mercury Marauder. Pinelli Jones drove.
It might have been in the trailer. Who knows where it was at? Because he's had that one for a while. I know we took it to the bowling.
Still a heavy, heavy door. You know, all the stuff has gone out of it.
Yes.
I mean, can you imagine driving a race car with electrical taper on the steering wheel and just a piece of pad in case your head hits it, and a very simple, basic roll cage? This wouldn't fly on hardly any tracks on today's standards, probably. That is so cool.
Wow, really?
Got fuel pressure gauge, oil pressure gauge, RPM, water temp, fuel gauge, alternator, oil temp, another oil pressure gauge, and Pinelli Jones signed it. That is really cool.
Can't stand him for looking Maryland. He's one of the guys that's
Oh,
I bet that sounds amazing.
oh yeah.
I bet that sounds just,
It does.
yeah.
I just took all my pictures off my phone, right? There's a video. We had it up at Carlisle.
Well, I'm at. I was living in Maryland. I
Okay.
told Chip the only thing that I'm really gonna miss from up there
Bobby
is to
Allison.
go to Carlisle.
We went for the first time 2 years ago. That place was amazing.
And I
How
think,
cool is that?
Yeah.
for the cheap, like,
Yeah. Yeah, that Carlisle, that was awesome.
oh, it's crazy.
Yeah, we took Parnelli Jones, Marauder, and the truck. They were having a Bill Strop reunion.
Right.
Yeah, so we took a picture of all the Strop vehicles that we got.
Yeah.
Yeah.
140 to 160,000.
Yeah.
That's good.
Somebody always says, hey, can you put a value on the museum? I'm like, oh, hell no.
No, no.
I don't know how you'd even insure this.
There's no way. There's no way. I
If you
mean,
bid,
just
there's no
the-
way you could do insurance.
no. Just the Mickey Thompson pair, I mean, that's up there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I can't even imagine.
So that's what he looked at when Bobby Allison was racing this car.
I can't believe that you got them all in one spot.
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
Like I said, we're busting at the seams if he keeps buying. We tried to get the Parnelli Bronco. He was runner-up on it. And then, what was it, a month later, they took it out and they rolled it? Yeah. $1.87 million Bronco and they rolled it. Yeah. I'm just like, how can you
Back
do
when a
that?
stock car is a stock
And it
car.
was actually the owner that was driving it when he rolled it. Like, dude, I can't even imagine.
Literally just that amount of weight on my shoulder. Man,
Bless your heart. If you need to sit down, I can get you a chair.
That is just so cool.
Yes, yes. And it doesn't help that it's
I
kind
love vintage
Oh, this
stock
is-
cars.
Oh, man.
And Bobby Allison is just one of them names that you know what it is. Even if you don't follow
Every
racing,
corner.
you know who Bobby
Every
Allison.
corner you see
The name
something
strikes a
different.
bell.
And I'm kind of excited. We just had a bunch of the cars detailed, so.
And
they're a
now,
lot cleaner than- Yeah.
how about Richard Petty?
Keeping everything clean and dusted and looking.
Oh, it's torn. I mean,
Richard
just
Petty's
the whole
Plymouth.
tires are- I guarantee those flat tires in there. I guarantee it. I just faired them up not too long ago.
Wow.
It's a full-time job. Yeah. And we don't keep it as clean as we should.
Remember, this was Richard's I think he raced a 71 Roadrunner. I think that's what, I believe that's what this is.
That one's stupid. And it looks like an engine out of a tractor.
What's that?
This one. Doesn't look like a race car engine.
No kidding.
Isn't that nuts?
Wow.
Nuts.
Gas run,
No way.
I like the gas run because
Look at that.
probably I've watched
Like I say, that Tasca car, it runs, or that.
Not only that, but they're running dual. They got coilovers. I mean, not coilovers, but they got tuber control arms, but they got dual.
That's a Riverside car, obviously.
Uh,
The fuel filler's on the opposite side. I got a share it somewhere.
wow. That is really neat.
Do what? Second, the factory car. He owns 11 of those. Yeah, the Corvette.
I mean, again, it's electrical tape. That's what you're holding on to as you're racing.
These squeaky floors.
My wife,
This is so neat.
we did go to Arizona.
And then back here in the back for your head.
Google search, in Oklahoma to do, and this is one of them that popped up, and,
Suspension comes up through the floor back there.
Yeah, I think we're on those.
yeah, you are now. But
Wow.
Website got
where we
hacked.
turn, if you go straight, there's a deal on the,
Oh.
Jeez.
freight. That's where
That's all they
we're
have.
sitting in right now. And there's a,
Vietnam.
Vietnam.
We've got 3
memorial.
museums in this town.
Yeah.
You're crazy? I mean, they're not really museums, but
Yeah.
they classify as them. Yeah.
That's
They're
right.
little Veterans Wall, and I call it the ass problem. The ass problem. Yeah.
Another merch.
And then here.
Torino with a 429 boss.
She's rocking the chair back there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's making his way that way.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely take a break. And that Marauder, I love that Marauder.
Yeah.
That car is just beautiful.
So beautiful.
We actually won a car show because we have the original battery and spark plugs.
Oh, really?
And that actually won the car show because of that. This is a lead sled right here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Too cool.
Ain't that something?
Take a feel of that trunk.
That is all steel right there.
That is all there.
It's heavy.
Yeah, isn't that nuts? Yeah. But when they saw that, we're like, okay.
They've actually got they cut it out for those
But
lost.
Moore knew what he was doing on this car. Definitely.
Isn't that something? Now it just sits
You doing
underneath,
okay?
but
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's really neat.
I'm in awe.
It is a little.
And he signed it on
We
the
need to get
dash.
you a rolling chair and just roll you around.
Imagine racing a race on a seat like that.
Well, normal, like, this trick down here is normally about all I do.
Mm-hmm.
I told Chip I wasn't missing a day for anything. Yeah.
410 horsepower.
Yeah. 410.
Just okay. So sorry.
You're all right.
Forgot about second
Torino Cobra.
Now, where's
So
the
this don't have the 429 in it.
Boss.
Had the video on.
So this has a 429 boss in it.
So bad. God. So we took it to the Xavier and Cruz. Buttons. And
So this is actually the Torino Talladega.
we're drinking.
Got the different
Rick got a little drunk.
swoop nose front end on it. The normal Torino didn't come down all the way like this. It was more of a square. But for NASCAR, Ford redesigned the front end of the Torino, make it more aerodynamic. And this is kind of what they did. They kind of made it more swoop and
Taking the back roads. Highway, obviously.
And then they actually sold the Torino Talladega for a street version. It's a very rare car if you can find one. There's not many made. It's very rare.
Okay, hello DUI, here it comes. We haven't thrown that thing down again. Oh, it's right, Hajek. If we ever do that again, we should be shot. But change spark plugs. Spark plugs were completely black. So they were fouled.
Looky there. So 429.
Like, oh my God, we should be shot.
And it's shoved in there. I mean, it's a tight squeeze.
It is. It's all the components off the Mustang. The door actually has Mustang interior. We can go over there. It's in the other building.
That is so cool.
But, yeah, it's fun. It's a fun little pickup. Yeah.
Well, that truck right there is the one that you're doing 200 miles an hour, right?
No, 182.
You'll get
182.
there. You'll get
Well, they put a 175 restriction on us, but like he said, he got up to 182, but the average speed is what they thought.
there. Right.
We didn't have gussets on our cage, so they wouldn't let us go over 175. He said it's got more in it. He said it's at least 200.
I read an article that was on it, and he was trying to get it too.
Yeah. But they restricted us, so he'd get up to it, like I say, but then the average, as long as we averaged 175, we wouldn't get thrown out. But yeah, we need gussets on the cage.
You got the ignition panel, start ignition.
In the quarter, I got to 199
Wow.
and couldn't brake. Could
Couldn't
not
get it?
brake.
Oh, darn it.
And then that was,
That's saying something though, 199.
yeah. I think that was the year that we were running like 701
Yeah.
or so.
Yeah. Good for you.
But to see these things, it's just-
I'm gonna run over and get the air conditioners on. We'll take you over there to the other
Okay.
building.
Is this the original October Jet?
Yes.
This
That's
is the original?
68, and then there's another one over here. And then we have the tribute cars to both of them.
All right. Yeah, you're not lacking Cobra Jets around here. That's for
And
sure.
we actually got rid of some of them. And you haven't been in the Cobra Jet room. There's 3 in there that still
Yeah,
have
I already been back in there.
Yeah.
So, I'll be right back. I
all right.
Was it David Parsons that drove this?
I think that's what she said. I think it
David
was part-
Parsons? Yeah. I wouldn't mind finding a Torino Talladega, a natural Talladega.
My buddy up there's got one.
Yeah, the one he doesn't want to sell. He's 90
Yeah.
years old. Just because I know the history of the
Same
car.
one that Shelby America, you showed up last week to see if they
Right.
could pick up those cars.
It's I know the history of the car and why it was made, so I kind of respect the Torino Talladega for what it is, and
Yeah.
it's a very rare car on top of that. That Mercury Marauder is just a beautiful car, though.
Yeah. The lines on it are pretty cool.
Can you imagine racing that at 180 plus miles an hour, something that big around a track?
No,
It'd be insane.
not
No
crazy.
no technology. That is what a stock car was. That's a stock car.
Back in the day, it had to be factory stock. It had to be available to the public, and it was what, 50 or 200 cars,
500.
500.
Minimum of 500.
And they had to make 500 cars for it to be considered a factory stock car. So they had 500 of them that they could sell to the public.
And then you had the old slogan was first on Sunday, sold on Monday.
Yep. That was the truth. If a certain car won the race, there would be a run on those cars for the next couple of weeks.
I think the only car, the only cars the exception to was the Plymouth Superbird and the Dodge Daytona. Nobody wanted those cars. Even after they won, still didn't want them on the showroom floor.
Yeah.
A lot of dealerships actually would take.
They took everything.
They took the.
That is-
Okay.
Take your breath away.
I don't know anything about this car.
To think about how much they did with just, well, I mean, not everything, factory or they worked with the factory to design the stuff.
It's kind of a lining or something.
We used to
Think WHM. I don't know what that means.
Benzine shop.
What the hell matters?
What is that means? What the hell matters?
Oh, wow.
We used to go to the coffee shop all the
Oh,
time.
yeah. This is kind of cool. Obviously the right front always wore the fastest.
Right.
So he built in a flap and a spotlight
Where you can see the
where he could see the
tire.
right front instead of pitting.
Well, that's really neat.
Isn't that crazy?
Put it this way, last time I was here, that car back there looked like that.
Yeah, it's still back there.
I know, I saw it, was just back there.
Yep.
But a lot of it's been stripped off.
That was the worst 7 miles of my life. We didn't even know if he was alive.
Yeah, I know, that's what I heard. That's
Just gives me goosebumps thinking about it.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's going out next week. He's driving for Ferguson. He's driving their streamliner.
Wow.
Yeah. I call him the whore with the helmet. He'll drive anything. Rick says he'll drive any forking thing. Yeah, Danny. He's just like his father. Good guy. Very good guy.
So I didn't get that on video, but
He's definitely hidden.
What
I
she
think there's
did-
names that don't even know it.
she pulled this here, open that up, and then he would shine a spotlight. The spotlight is right there, and it would actually let him look to see the wear on his tire while racing. And I guess he liked his Wrigley's gum because he's got a whole bunch of it right there. That's cool.
Museum would have.
Right.
And you go to, we've got a window out of one guy's original house that he lived in.
Wow.
And it's like,
Mickey Mantle. Aw. Wow.
some guys bought it, and they were gonna redo it, and they took all the windows out of it.
Oh.
And he drove by and was like, what are you doing with those windows? And the guy's like, throw them away. And he's like, can I get those? And they were like, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And he takes them and puts them in the museum and puts some photos in them, and everybody's like, that's out of his house. Yes, it is. But nobody else at the Hall of Fame or stuff like that, none of that stuff.
Well, Britt's old school. We did lots of stuff for the longest time. Britt says, you know, we're gonna tear more up, trying to get in or break in. And, we had one of our guys at Motorsports, Kevin, I don't know where, which is 2007, 8, I'm not sure exactly. They stole it. They got in our diesel pickup. They went to the refrigerator, got a 30-pack of beer.
Beautiful car.
Got in our diesel pickup. Well, I leave the keys in the console. No one knows where they're at. They had taken them out the console and started it. Well, it only had
So you kind of seen the progress of how NASCAR was with, well, we'll keep going down here and we'll come back to Dale Jarrett's.
So we're here and
We saw
everybody always plays tricks.
everything from the early 60s
It took like 2 hours.
to here's the 70s. And that was the 70s.
How are you driving your pickup and your car?
Now we're going to go to the 80s
And
and let you see the difference in the 80s. And then we'll go to the 90s.
it's not a trailer.
So
Well, 2 hours later,
here is the Earnhardt car.
it's rolled in Woodward.
I mean, come on, everybody knows silver, black, and red. There's no need to
Stop rolling other things.
try to tell you who drove it. I mean, really, you should know.
Try bars, get everything.
Monte Carlo, of course.
But yeah, instead of sealing in
He always drove a GM,
So long story short, we locked everything.
back glass.
They stole that because you
Yes.
sell that,
Yes,
you put one of these up for sale
someone's gonna
anywhere.
find it, yeah, exactly. But it was funny, they tried to take.
So this is a car that Earnhardt drove at one point in his career.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're gonna know if the day.
Look how far that sternal comes up to the seat. I'm not sure how tall Earnhardt was, but I'm kind of curious now. But imagine racing, and that's what you looked at.
It would get back to. Brent.
Except Earnhardt always kind of leaned to this direction. He always kind of, you watch him in his races, he always kind of leaned to the left when he ran, when he's racing. So,
Well, and some of these are so rare, you know, so.
but that's really cool.
Yes, he's got 80 in the collection. Yeah. 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 I told him, I said, if you ever bring them all
I know when know when NASCAR brought back number 3, a lot of people weren't very happy. But you know, it's good to see it back on the road.
That was kind of hectic though, when we actually kept it as a storage building, or a storage shelter. They're not here in a minute. All these crazy people from tornadoes are in here with these cars, and I'm like, that's what kind of building.
So you know what track he raced this car at?
Pardon me?
that?
You know what track Earnhardt raced this one at?
One of them's Daytona and one of them's Talladega, but it's not the Daytona winner.
It's not the Daytona winner.
No.
I'm sure that's
It's not the
someplace.
Daytona 500 winner. No.
He only won one race within the Daytona 500.
I want to
so
say this is the Talladega and that is Daytona, but I might be wrong.
that's
But yeah,
cool.
this one has, is it this one? That one has his original water jug in, the old pink water jug in
Does
there.
it?
Yeah. But how they stayed safe in these cars, that's just crazy.
Well, if you look at the comparison between that to this, there's a big difference
Right.
between the two cars
Yeah.
on the inside of them. You got a lot more roll cage protection in here than you
Right.
did on the one next to it. And
We've moved cars so many times, I don't have the right sign with the right one.
you can actually you start out with the 60s and then you go to the 70s and you go to the 80s and you see how they progress through the years.
This is the Talladega car.
Okay,
This one's Talladega and that one's
so this is the car you race on Talladega.
this one is, yes. I'm right on that. I know this one, but I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, but it's like I was saying, if you look at the roll cage in the 60s, I mean, it was very, very basic. Very basic. I mean, they didn't erase the factory seat. I mean, and then by the 80s, a lot more complex. You got roll cage around the doors now. It's all intertwined together. And then you jump to the 90s. And then there's the 90s, a little bit more complex yet. I remember the end dash cams when they were racing. I remember seeing the power boards and stuff welded to and attached to the
Don't overdo it.
roll cage. So this is a car he raced in Daytona. Not Daytona, but Talladega.
A little bit of everything.
This was a 90 Chevy Luma.
Into it, I just go do it,
Right.
much as I want to, but
Yeah.
I come here and I'm like, you know, I wish I would.
I wish we could do more racing. He hasn't raced since 2011 when he set that racing. Oilfield's been so crazy.
I mean, in the 90s, even the stock cars still looked like stock cars for the most part.
It's a job, it just don't make no money.
By the 2000s, they no longer look like a stock car. Here's a Bell Elliott.
We just don't understand how these guys, you know, they have these brand new machines.
87. I think Elliott won the championship in 87, I think. I could be wrong, but I think he won the championship in 87.
Most of,
I mean, Brent has a love for it, so he'll always do it, but there's no money behind it. Especially with fertilizer prices right now.
House, 15
Yeah.
tractor. I never drove a tractor with it.
Oh, Lord.
I'll tell you, you know,
I used to go at 6 o'clock, go out, drive a tractor all day, get off, wash my face off, put my baseball in.
You still see the Thunderbird on the bottom there.
and was it hot? Well, sure. I didn't even think about it. You know, you take a drink of water, drink the water, and you go, and
Yep.
then get off and go play ball.
Yep. That's like right now, we have a hunting lot on Cimarron, and we have the ground up asphalt as the road. Brent's out there on a 856
Little duck.
or a speed mover, you know, I mean, he's got the big tractors, but the 856 is, pardon me? Do you know how the old 51 used to run?
Yeah.
Where the old 51 highway went, that's where it's property. We've got 1,500 acres there, and we've got a lodge out there.
Hey
So
Chip,
it's
recognize this?
Yep. Address is actually
What's
here.
that?
All the triangulation.
Oh yeah.
I think I've seen that somewhere else.
Yeah.
And we'll just-
Everybody at
Last
the shop
week.
thought that was so
Yeah,
cool.
that'd be great.
They liked it on yours.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I say, our website, somebody stole our domain. I don't know who would want Hike Motorsports.